Ladies and gentlemen, we finally got our summer Nintendo Direct. Maybe it was a little later than what everyone expected it to be, and maybe it was a partner showcase, but surely it had to be a great presentation for what Nintendo has yet to come on the Switch 2, right? Right? Alright, I'll be completely upfront in saying that this was not my favorite Nintendo Direct. It's certainly not the worst one we've seen. We didn't see 10 different reskinned farming simulator games, so that's good. And we actually got a fair amount of variety in gameplay and game styles, for the most part. I don't think that this was a bad Nintendo Direct, but I really don't know if I can call it good either. Hi, I'm Matt. I like to talk about video games, pop culture, and pretty much anything else that piques my interest. Today, I wanted to break down this Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase and talk about the things that I liked and didn't like about it, the things that I'm really looking forward to, and things that were personal highlights for me in this Direct. So let's get started, starting with Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection. What a great start to a Partner Direct. This looks great. It has a great art style and really great graphics, even if this was more or less just a cinematic trailer. I've only played a few Monster Hunter games, and none of them were a Monster Hunter Stories title. But everything I've heard about these says that the quality is always pretty high, so I'm looking forward to this one. After getting a look at Monster Hunter Stories 3, Nintendo broke down how this Direct would be laid out, and explained that we will be seeing both Switch 1 and Switch 2 titles throughout the presentation. A lot of people were probably a little confused about this, but this makes perfect sense to me. There will be a crossover period between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, so seeing both being highlighted here makes a lot of sense because Nintendo really wants to sell to both platforms. I'd rather see this kind of stuff in a partner showcase and not in a regular Direct, though I'm sure it will still happen for some larger titles. Up next was Once Upon a Katamari. Right off the rip, this definitely looks like a Switch 1 game. But I'm glad that they're sticking to the graphical style of the PlayStation 2 games. It just feels a little more unique. I've never been huge into this franchise, but I know it has a pretty big following, and this does look like a fun time. After that was Just Dance 2026, and honestly, who cares? These look the exact same year after year for like the last 10 years. I've never been a fan of these games in all fairness, but it always amazes me how these games are always shown off in these directs over some other titles that are probably a lot more interesting. These just always feel like they could have been in a sizzle reel, but it truthfully probably sells well on the Switch systems, so they felt it needed to be highlighted. Again, not really for me, but clearly Just Dance has its fans on the Switch. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was up next. It looked good, and I like the concept, but I'm not a Dragon Ball fan. It was more my brother's thing when we were younger, so I don't have a ton of attachment to the franchise, and it's like 20 years old, so being able to jump into it now is pretty much impossible. But gameplay-wise, this looks pretty great. It does look a little rough around the edges, but it's good to see that the title is coming to Nintendo systems. Plants vs. Zombies. It's a fun trailer, but it's just Plants vs. Zombies. I loved playing it as a kid when I didn't have anything else to play on a computer or on an iPad or something, but as a full release on the Switch 2, are we adding Cut the Rope next? How about Temple Run? How about Fruit Ninja? Do you get what I'm saying? I just don't see anyone paying $20 for this game. Up next was FC 26, and look, I don't have any interest in this. I'll be upfront about that. I don't watch soccer, and so many of these games kind of look like a copy and paste of the previous entries. However, I do think that it's great that we are getting this game on the Switch and Switch 2, especially after so many years of EA not really supporting Nintendo consoles. This may not be for me, but there are probably a lot of soccer fans out there that have been wanting to play these games for years and just couldn't. I'm really happy for them. Pac-Man World 2 Repack. I think this looks cool. I know these games have plenty of fans from back in the day. Not me, but they're out there. This feels like it would have hit a little bit harder had we not just had Donkey Kong Bonanza releasing. Still, this feels right at home on console. Final Fantasy Tactics. I haven't played these before, so I don't have any big opinions on it. But this is a game that's regarded as one of the best games of all time. So getting a remastered version of this with voice acting and new dialogue is pretty awesome for both longtime fans and people like me who haven't played it before. And from what I've heard, this game might be fully on the cart. So this is a game I actually might pick up to see what I've been missing out on. Persona 3 Reload. Absolutely awesome. I haven't been able to play this yet, but I have been wanting to for so long. I just don't have time to jump into a big JRPG right now. But being able to play this on the go might just change that for me. It looks great, and I'm really looking forward to it. After that, we got another look at Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. This didn't really show off anything new to me. I haven't played a Warriors game before, but this is one that I knew I was going to be picking up from the very first trailer. It looks great, but again, I knew that from the very first trailer. So getting a new trailer that didn't really have a ton that was new for me to look at or learn about the game, it was kind of a bummer. On top of that, not getting a release date for this does kind of sting. But hey, at least it didn't make my predictions video age even worse. Madden NFL 26. Copy and paste what I said about the last sports game. While I don't see myself picking it up, I'm happy for the Madden fans who have been waiting for so long to play this on the Switch. Keep in mind, the last time that we got a Madden game on a Nintendo console was back in 2012 on the Wii U. That being said, I do actually like watching football. I'm a pretty big fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, don't judge me. So I'm slightly more interested in this one. If it releases with everything on the cartridge, maybe I'll pick this one up when it goes on sale. Otherwise, I don't think it's for me. Up next was Chillin' by the Fire. At first, I thought this looked rough and kind of dumb. A very basic art style, not a ton going on, but I also think that's kind of the point. It's meant to be a cozy simulator, not a graphical showcase. I do like that we have another game that uses a USB camera. Though I did not actually buy one, it is unique. I'm not sure if it was the best game to put in this direct. Maybe an indie world would have been better. But I know that these developers have their own timelines and release dates, so it wouldn't have made much sense. This probably isn't a killer game or a console selling title, but it did shadow drop after the direct. So if it interests you at all, you can pick it up right now. Apex Legends. Seeing this here makes a ton of sense, and it's exactly what I was asking for in my Nintendo Switch 2 wishlist video. It's just upgrading the game that was already on the Nintendo Switch so that it's more comparable to how it looks on other platforms. I can't say I really hear anyone talking about Apex anymore, but with a new season launching, it feels like the right time for any Nintendo Switch 2 owners to hop right in and give it a shot. Up next was Hella, the Stuart Little game. I'm joking. It actually looks really cute and cozy, and I like that it has co-op so you can play with your friends. I'm actually really kind of looking forward to this game. It feels like the right vibe for me. But with this being a 2026 release, again, I can't help but feel that this would have had a bigger impact in an indie world. We got another look at Star Wars Outlaws, an impressive looking Switch port, at least for what they showed off. I'm a sucker for Star Wars, I'll be upfront in saying that. It's my favorite film franchise of all time, and I generally enjoy most of the games. I own this game on the Xbox Series X, but I haven't really had the chance to play it. I heard it was fine, but it didn't sell very well. Hopefully it gets to shine on the Switch 2 better than it did on other platforms, but I wouldn't be holding my breath. It does concern me that they never showed off any of the open world gameplay in the trailer, so hopefully Ubisoft isn't trying to hide the imperfections this port has. Chronos: The New Dawn. This game looks kinda sick. A very unique concept that somewhat reminds me of Eternal Darkness on the GameCube and a little bit of Dead Space as well. This may be a day one pickup for me. Great visuals and overall just a very cool vibe. This was easily the biggest highlight for me out of this entire Nintendo Direct. After this, we got a look at two different Yakuza games. I've never played any of these games. I've heard the franchise is great, but it's just never been one that's interested me. I hope it sees continued success on the Switch too, but I'm not really sure if it's for me. Maybe I'll check it out someday, but right now it certainly won't be at the top of my most anticipated titles. That being said, these do look to be running great on the Switch 2, so if you have any interest in them, maybe it'll be worth picking them up. After this, we got a sizzle reel and a look at some titles on the Switch and the Switch 2. So I'm going to be quickly going through these just about as fast as Nintendo did, and just giving you my general thoughts on them. Good Night Universe. It looks interesting. Cute gameplay and a cute art style, but probably not for me. NBA Bounce. At the very least, I'm glad this doesn't look like a generic basketball game, but it's not really something I'm interested in playing. Hello Kitty Island Adventure Wheatflower Wonderland. I did hear that Hello Kitty Island Adventure was a cute, cozy game, not too different from something like Animal Crossing, so seeing it get DLC is cool. I doubt I'll pick this up, but maybe someday. Romancing Saga 2. I don't know anything about this franchise and have little interest in picking this up, but if you are a fan, this was a shadow drop. Shinobi Art of Vengeance. This looks like a fun action platformer, and it's the first Shinobi game since 2011. This caught my eye. Maybe I'll pick this up. Borderlands 4. I loved Borderlands 2 as a teenager, but couldn't get into Borderlands 3 as much when it came out. I'm interested in seeing what reviews for this title say, and maybe I'll pick this up on Switch 2 when it's on sale. Finally, we have the last two announcements for this Direct, and both of them were from Square Enix. The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. I'm a sucker for the HD 2D art style that Square Enix has been doing lately. I know it's starting to lose its luster for some people, and even for me, but some titles interest me more than others. This game having real-time fighting mechanics set it apart from the rest, and reminds me a bit more of something like Secret of Mana or The Legend of Zelda. Consider my interest peaked. Also, a demo is available now on the Switch 2, so I may check that out once this video is wrapped up. The last title that was announced was Octopath Traveler 0. Look, I'm a fan of Octopath Traveler. I've been a big fan since the very first game launched on the Nintendo Switch. And like I said, I'm a fan of the HD 2D art style. But I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to put these side by side as the last two announcements for this partner showcase. Why end the Direct with two games that look so similar? I'm absolutely looking forward to this game, but I feel like for most people, these two games will kind of just blend together, which really doesn't help the complaints that people have with HD 2D games. And that was it. The partner showcase started off strong, but man, this is a weak Nintendo Direct. And for it being the second Nintendo Direct that featured Switch 2 games in it, it's not a good look. There are some titles that look awesome on here, and returns for franchises that have been absent from the Switch 2 library. Even if I don't necessarily care about them, I'm happy for the fans that do. But if I was someone who didn't already own a Switch 2, I'm not sure if there's a single game here that would have sold me on buying one, which I feel like is half of the point of these Nintendo Directs. A, giving customers a reason to buy the console in the first place, and B, giving customers who already bought the console a reason to keep buying games. And I really feel like this presentation failed to do both. I'm looking forward to Monster Hunter Stories 3. I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm looking forward to Persona 3 Reload, to Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, to Chronos: The New Dawn, and some of the HD 2D Square Enix titles. But this Direct could have been a bunch of Twitter announcements, or they could have been put into a full Nintendo Direct. At least then, I wouldn't have felt like I just watched a 25-minute sizzle reel full of a lot of nothing. There are a lot of third-party games that I thought we would have seen here, that would have made a lot of sense to see here, but we're missing in action. Elden Ring still doesn't have a release date. Hollow Knight Silksong still doesn't have a release date. Hades 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hyrule Warriors, none of these games have release dates. I get it, it's not on Nintendo to announce these, especially when some of those games may not even have a finalized release date. But I thought we would have seen something out of these, even if it was just another look at them with no release date. I don't know, maybe I'm being too hard. After all, I did list off quite a few games that I'm interested in, and not every single game is going to pique my interest. Not every single game is going to be for me. I know, I recognize that, I understand that, and I'm sure that there is someone out there who watched this Partner Direct and found an interest in the games that I didn't. But as someone who really wants to see what's next for the Switch 2, this really only showed us what's coming up through, for the most part, October of this year, or just 2026 in general. I hope we get a general Nintendo Direct soon, so that we can get some finalized release dates for some of the already announced titles. And I do hope we get more great third-party games announced. I know that not every Nintendo Direct can be a banger, and I know that not every single game is going to be something that I like. So tell me, what did you think of this Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please give it a like, and be sure to follow me on Twitter and Bluesky for goofy takes and updates on videos to come. But whatever you do, I just want to thank you for watching this video. We have plenty of Switch 2 titles that I'm sure will be announced in the future, and I still have a full review of Donkey Kong Bonanza coming in the future. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell to keep up to date on all of my latest videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.